Hello, everyone. I figured I would go live just like a minute early. I was just sitting there staring at my computer screen and thought to myself, I could just go live. So, good morning, barely here on the West Coast. Good afternoon, evening, happy time zone wherever you are, and happy Easter if you are celebrating. It is a beautiful day here in Western Washington, at least where I'm at. The temperature is, let me see, 58 right now, but the feels like temperature is 60 Fahrenheit, obviously not Celsius. Um, excuse me. It's supposed to feel like 71 today. So after stream, I am going to go spend some time outside because it is just a beautiful spring day. Hello, Angela. You need to get a blog post scheduled and then go fix supper so you won't be here the whole time. That is just fine. I appreciate you stopping by for however long you are here. Hello, Gail. I hope that you're having a great day. Yes, I was just chatting with my mom on the phone for a bit and I said, Mom, I gotta go. I can't stay. I've got stream. I do, just as a heads up, I do have my window open here for the breeze. So I'm not sure how much background noise it's picking up. If it's distracting, please let me know and I'll close it. But I couldn't resist the opportunity for some fresh air in the house. So I do have the window open for now. Yeah, there's a loud vehicle. Let me know if that's too loud. Hi, Yolanda. You're glad to get some editing in this afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. Gail says it's sort of sunny, hazy in your neck of the PNW. How's the weather? It's about the same. It's mostly sunny. There's definitely clouds in the sky, but it's not cloudy. It's kind of a filtered sunny. Carla, hello. You're doing a quick short story for a contest. 1,200 word romance with a recipe in it. Oh, that's cool. Does the recipe count towards your 1,200 words? I hope not. I hope you have a little more of a buffer. Good thing you know how to make pasta. Easy pasta recipe in a romance is perfection. Yes. Lady and the Tramp really set the standards. Hello, Pasqua. Let's see. Carla says you could have her make fettuccine Alfredo, which is just grown up mac and cheese. But a nice quick tomato sauce over homemade noodles is an act of love, yes. My husband does the cooking in our house, and he refuses to buy red sauce, pasta sauce in a jar. He always makes it homemade. So it is an act of love. I can vouch. Let's see. Angela is asking what the short story contest is through. Carla says it's a Substack site micro romance site with a ton of followers. That's really cool. Hello, Yolanda. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Micromance magazine is what it's called, Carla says. Okay. Yes, good luck, Carla. I'm sure your story will turn out wonderful. And in the Heart Breathing's writing community Facebook group, there is a Feature Yourself Friday. So when it's finished, you should totally comment on that post and include the link if it's something that we would be able to read. I'm not sure if it's behind a subscription paywall or not, but if it is free to read, I would love to read how it turns out. Hello, Miranda. Hi, Jen. The East Bay in Northern California is beautiful and warm. It's beautiful and warm here, too. The temperature is, like I said, 58, but it feels nice. It feels nice and warm. Rita's here to party. Yes. It's too cold where Angela is for the windows open. That's fair. I love airing out the house. And I'm someone who has the windows open even when it's cold out. I know it's inefficient and it makes my heater work harder, but I just need the fresh air. Faye says, good evening from the UK. Ready to get some writing done after a day of spring cleaning. Excellent. Well, good for you. And hello, Faye. I hope you're doing well. Bravo on your spring cleaning. I've got to do some of that this afternoon too. Carla says it's truly an April showers day in Boston. Hello, Sara. Hello, Harriet. Harriet is trying to finish the last few chapters of your novel. Today you want to get stuck into chapter 29. Are you drafting or are you revising? Please let me know. Miranda says it's cool and windy here, but yesterday was warm in Saskatchewan. Am I saying that right? I think so. Close enough, I hope. All right. Well, I will be deciding what I'm going to do. So I started drafting yesterday. I got about 500 words. And I am just, after all of this prep and multiple draft attempts at this book one of a series, I sat down to write yesterday and I just am not motivated, like at all, to draft. And usually I love drafting. I love plotting and I love drafting. And now, when I did some file management yesterday during my stream, I was looking at files and documents of a different novel. And now my mind is kind of spinning wheels and saying, do I go back to that one? Do I just go back to it? I was in revisions. I could just go back to it. But the shiny plot syndrome is striking and it's hitting me hard. And I don't know what to do. So I might try and see if I can get going on the draft that I'm supposed to be drafting. So we shall see. But you know, when there's just a little plot bunny whispering in the back of your ear and says, work on me, work on me. So that's what I'm struggling with right now. Angela says, if anyone's interested in contests connected to a conference, there's a great one coming up in October. Enter as many categories as you want for a conference fee and cash prizes. That's good to know. Yeah, tell us what the name of the conference is, please. Okay, well, I am going to quit flapping my lips. We may go a little long today. We'll see. Don't feel bad if you need to leave. I know it's Easter and a lot of folks have plans, so I totally understand if you've got to skedaddle, but I'm not doing a whole lot this afternoon. So I may go a little longer. And, you know, we're not going to be, at least I'm pretty sure, we're not going to be bumping right up against anyone else's stream. So we have a little wiggle room. So Gail says, oh, Sarah, do you suffer from ADOS, attention deficit? Oh, shiny. Yes, very, very much so. Ozark Creative Writers is the name of the conference, Angela says. Info is on their website. It's the 60th year and you're 30th attending. Wow, that's impressive, Angela. Bravo. Are you on any kind of committee or organizing? Do you volunteer? It seems like you're really into it if you've been going for 30 years. That's impressive. Angela is making homemade Chinese buffet and playing cards. Oh, that sounds so fun. There is a really good Chinese restaurant open near me, and they're open today. But I'm just afraid that they're going to be so busy because I have a feeling that a lot of folks are going to be ordering Chinese food because there's not many places open today. But my husband and I haven't figured out what we're going to do for dinner. We might just make something around the house. Who knows? We'll figure it out. You're an unofficial greeter of new faces. That's an important job. Everyone needs a friendly face when they're new somewhere. Your nearest is an hour in either direction. Oh gosh, I assume you're talking about a Chinese restaurant. Yeah, that's quite a hike for some food. All right. Well, I say we get started on our... Oh, why did my timer go away? I've just got the beautiful little background here. Let's see. It does not want to go. Well, I'm going to start the timer and we can get working, and I will get the timer up on the screen in just a few seconds for y'all. All right, 25 minutes is on the clock, even though you can't see it, but you will in just a moment. And happy sprinting. that is the end of sprint 1. How did everyone do? Sounds like there's a car alarm going off, of course. I made a sprint tracker in my notebook, and I had started making it using this right here as my kind of template. However, about halfway through making it, I realized that this was not a sprint tracker. It was my rough draft challenge kind of daily tracker. So I glued some pages together and corrected my work and made a sprint tracker. Very rough, very quick and sloppy, but I don't need it to be fancy. It's just for keeping track of my sprints. So the info on it is just the date, the amount of time I'm sprinting for, my starting and ending word counts, words written, and any notes. So, because I do like to keep track of my words per sprint. I am a data nerd like that. So let's see what everyone else was up to. Jen says that you love Chinese food, but you're making risotto for dinner. That sounds really good, actually. Faye got 461 words. Well done. Carla says story first draft is done, and now you're editing to keep it under 1,200 words. Bravo, bravo. You got a little wiring. Gail says that you got a little writing done despite the distracting and noisy stellar jays outside. Yes, the birds are going nuts here. There's a tree right outside my window here that has a bird feeder on it. So I love watching the birds while I'm sitting at my desk, but it is quite distracting, especially this time of year when they're so busy. Sarah says you use that sprint to unpack. You're spending a week in Michigan for a solo writing retreat. That sounds so lovely. Have so much fun. I love taking writing retreats. I save mine for November, though. Yolanda says you got a chapter edited and found that you need to write a new scene. Oh, that's great. I mean, hopefully that kind of unlocks something in the story for you. Let's see. Harriet says a whopping 110 words. No, there's no just 110 words. You did write 110 words. Hi, Kiku. You said you're editing the work from last night. Edited 1,928 words and added 43 more. Bravo. Bravo. Miranda says that you're in Google Sheets figuring out the story beats with your most recently edited book. Now you can outline your new chapters and where to place them. You're off a bit from the Save the Cat beats. Yeah, I find that happens to myself too, but I try and stick with it as much as I can. And then, inevitably some parts are going to be longer. Some parts are going to be shorter. So I just kind of accept that maybe my fun and games kind of chunk of the story may be a little longer, or my debate in Act 1 might be a little shorter, but the story needs what the story needs, and it's going to get what it needs. Pasqua says you're editing a chapter. The flow just isn't right yet. Ugh, good luck. I hope you can kind of unlock that missing piece. Yolanda says the jays are noisy and the acorn woodpeckers are going nuts too. We don't have acorn woodpeckers out here. We have lots of woodpeckers out here, but not an acorn woodpecker. We might have to look that up in the next sprint. Angela created the images for your Monday blog posts, got them scheduled on the author blog. Now to do your witchy blog. Bravo. You are on a roll this afternoon. Hey, JJ. Happy Sunday. I'm going to be spending my sprints doing some housework today. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the house cleaning. Let's see. Gail says the flicker woodpeckers have been pecking on the house. Oh, excuse me. And that is the end of our break. Oh, whoops, that's okay. All right. Well, I put 25 minutes back on the clock. I am going to, I'm just looking at some of my old drafts. I'm just looking. I know I should be writing, but I'm just looking at my old drafts right now. So I'm going to be doing that and then hopefully switching over to actually drafting and ignoring my other books that I have in various stages of incompletion. Jen says, you got a glass of wine, made yourself do at least one sprint before you can have wine. Bravo. You've earned it. Or one spring. The spring switch was flipped like an alarm that woke up all the birds around here. Oh gosh, so now they're all up in Adam. Yep. Okay. I am going to mute myself and I will see you all in 25 minutes. All right. How did everyone do this last sprint? I got some much needed file organization completed. I have different versions of drafts in different places, labeled different things, and some things needed to be put into a folder with something else. So my file organization is much better now than it was 25 minutes ago, which is not what I should be working on. And going through my files and my drafts and kind of organizing them, I found the draft that I was drafting, or I found the book that I was drafting this time last year for the April Rough Draft Challenge in 2025. And I am kind of falling back in love with that story. I had drafted it the first time around in NaNoWriMo of 2020, and the story was complete. There was a full novel there. However, it was a multi-POV story, and there were, I think, about 6 points of view. And I really found myself gravitating towards one character's point of view and his story. And so I decided to cut everyone else and their stories. And they're all going to play kind of supporting characters, but I really wanted to focus on him. And so I was working on that last April for the Rough Draft Challenge. I was working on drafting it, and I'm kind of thinking about going back to it. I don't know. I'm in quite the pickle, y'all. I was not expecting this curveball, but here we are. Let's see what all of you are up to. Rua joined us. Hello, hello. Yolanda says you got one more chapter edited. Bravo. That was a quick 25 minutes. I agree. Miranda said slow but moving forward. That's all we can ask for, right? Pasqua says your scene is flowing much better now. Oh, that's great. Carla is doing some refining edits and you're almost done. Excuse me. Kiku says, I finished editing the chapter and had to breathe because I totally made myself cry. Oh, that's a good sign though. If you know how the story goes, you have everything up here. And if you're still making yourself cry, you're doing something right. So bravo. Angela says, Monday posts scheduled on the blog for the month. Still need to find your books to review this month, but you're going to start supper. Have a wonderful time preparing supper, and great job on all of your blog work today. Yeah, I agree, Carla. I love when I make myself cry from my writing. It is a good feeling. Angela, yeah, exactly. It means you're on the right track, Angela. You got it exactly right. Faye got 531 words. Also jumped out of your seat when I unmuted. I'm sorry that I spooked you, but that's kind of a good sign if you're so into the story that you kind of lose track of where you are. Angela found a binder you needed to pack for your junk journal retreat. Ooh. I was in my kind of frenzy of finding my story that I'm thinking about going back to. I was looking for my scene cards because I know I had made scene cards for the rewrite. And I did find my scene cards, but I was also kind of going through my drawers in my filing cabinet next to my desk and organizing some things. That's why I was up out of my chair for a few minutes. I was standing literally a foot off screen, but I got some kind of organization done, and I like to plot by hand. So I was looking for another Sterling ink notebook. I thought I had one waiting in the wings, but I do not. So Am I on the Sterling Ink website right now trying to find a new notebook? Yes. Do I have other notebooks that I could use? Yes. But I really like the N1 or Traveler's notebook size for my plotting notebooks. And the other notebooks I have either are not enough pages, they're booklets, and they're N1 size. They're either the right size, but not enough pages, or they have enough pages, but they're not the right size. So I'm struggling over here. Let's see. Sarah's getting all of her writing stuff organized, and you might take a nap. A nap sounds lovely. I would love to take a nap. Angela found that she needs to schedule cleaning posts on her homestead blog first, and then you can do dinner. Gail says that did go super quick. I got some more writing done. I'm working on the outline of my book 5 of 6 series. Bravo. Miranda says you can take a nap, Sarah. You have her approval and permission. Gail says, funny how when you were a kid you didn't want to take a nap, but as an adult you wish you had time to nap. I know. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. Rua just started using Trello again for plotting, and you like the scene card layout. I have not messed with Trello. I am a little bit afraid to go down a rabbit hole with Trello, but I also know that I'm a paper plotter, and I just don't think a digital kind of plotting piece of software would really kind of scratch that itch for me. Angela says she makes time to nap. Naps do make the world go round. Carla spent part of today doing a timeline on the first hockey rom-com since you finally finished filling in the plot holes. Oh, I hate making timelines. I don't want to do it, but they're so helpful. So bravo for getting that done, because that does not sound like fun to me. Let's see. Gail says you found that the B6 Life notebook is a good size for your plotting and brainstorming. I do like the B6 size. I used the B6 as my planner, my everyday carry planner in 2024. And I switched to the Traveler's Notebook, or N1 as Sterling Ink calls it. I switched to the N1 size in 2025, and I am vibing with it. I love the N1 size so much. You have so many notebooks, your husband calls it your trophy wall. I love that. Notebooks are trophies, especially when they're all full and loved and worn. Sarah uses the B6 Stalogy. I know every time I see her in her Stalogies, I'm like, do I do a Stalogy? No, I do not. I love the Sterling Ink notebooks and planners, and this is my 3rd year in a Sterling Ink planner, and I've been using the Sterling Ink notebooks, and I just really love them. I don't need to reinvent the wheel or fix what's not broken, but the Stalogies are tempting. You've tried Trello, didn't work for you. It's too hard to copy. Kiku says you've tried Trello, you've tried Notion. People can pry sticky notes from my cold dead fingers. Same. Sticky notes and index cards. Those are my staples when I'm plotting. Carla is a pantser, a discovery writer, so outlines and timelines are painful. Yeah. I am not a pantser, but there's just something about a timeline that I just don't want to. I don't want to do it. It's too hard to think about. I confuse myself. Let's see. Gail says, Carla, there is no such thing as too many notebooks. That's true. Carla says, of course your outlines are everything blows up here, or this is why we can't have nice things. Yep, exactly. Miranda prefers Trello over Notion. Notion was too overwhelming. You used Trello years ago for a Kanban board and lists. You're starting again for this quarter, but keeping it really simple. Nice. Well, keep us updated. Let us know how you like it and what works for you or not. Carla says you're a Moleskine girly and have been for decades. Yeah, people seem to have very strong opinions one way or the other about Moleskines, and I've never had a Moleskine. I don't have any experience with them, but I know I'm not as finicky about paper type or quality as a lot of other folks are. And I don't use fountain pens because I think that's some of the issue that folks have with the paper is some of it's really fountain pen friendly and some of it's not. And it seems a little hard to decipher what is or isn't. But my favorite pen is the trusty Bic Crystal. So I am not a fountain pen girly. I'm not a fancy pen girly. So I don't have as many issues with paper quality or type as some folks do. I hope I don't waste time with digital scene cards, says Rua. It's just nice to have access on different devices. That's true. The access on different devices is a huge perk. Pasqua is a fellow pantser. Outlines are so constricting. I feel the opposite. Outlines are like a comforting big sweatshirt. I need it. I need my safety. I need my safety plot. I can't write without a plot. Jen says you've never mastered index cards. Sticky notes are your jam. Tons of sizes and colors. Yeah. I use sticky notes for plotting or just pages in my notebook until I feel that the book is essentially ready to draft. And then I make my scene cards on index cards so that when I'm drafting, I can just look at the scene that I need to write. And I'm not fighting turning pages with sticky notes in a notebook or, anything like that. I can just get my scene cards, but I don't fill these out until the very end. Like I said, when I'm ready to start drafting. I have on my YouTube channel, I have a whole video. It's very long about my plotting process. If you're curious, I go into quite a lot of detail over there. Let's see. Miranda says you love colored index cards and colored pens for planning and summaries. Yeah, kind of similar to what Sara does. I would love to color code, but I typically don't write multiple POV or really find a need for color coding. And then I write away from the home quite often. If I'm home, I'm going to get distracted. So I take myself out of the house to write. And all the different color index cards and pens would just be a lot for me to pack with me. And I'm not trying to do all that and carry all of that around. I feel like I already carry enough. Gail says you use the Sakura Micron pens. I've heard those are really nice. Carla uses a fine point fountain pen from Kaweco and extra fine Lamy Safari fountain pens. Okay, Carla also uses the Sakura Microns, but when you're doing art. I agree, Carla. The Post-it and the Post-it sticky notes. Oh, the Post-it sticky index cards. I just bought some of those. I don't know, in November, I think, or in October, preparing for the Rough Draft Challenge, and I love them. They're a game changer. Yeah, Jen, I found them at Walmart, I think. So I'm sorry, y'all. We are flapping. You've got me talking about Post-it notes now. This is your fault, quite honestly. I found in October or early November, I have not opened these yet, but square Post-its. And then these are like the index size ones. It came in a 2-pack. Oh gosh, all the cat hair. It came in a 2-pack of pink and purple. And then I found this, the Big Mama Post-it. And this size is 8 by 6 inches. So these were quite an exciting find. Carla said you discovered the sticky index cards, I think. when a teacher demanded your son uses index cards instead of a mind map. So he uses the sticky indexes on the wall for his mind map and then passed in the cards to the teacher. Oh, that's brilliant. And that's a way that, good for you and your son for finding a solution that still worked for his brain and learning style. Yolanda says it's time for you to start cooking. Have a great day. You're so welcome, Yolanda. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope your food is yummy. Angela says you use the index card system Sara started using. It's the simple notebook size. You use 3 colors, one for chapter, one for scene, one for hero, and one for heroine. Oh, I'm going to have to check out your video. I'm going to make a note of that right now. Yeah, I figured, thank you, Gail. I figured none of you would mind if we chatted for just a few minutes. I'm writing down your video, Angela. Do you know what your video is titled? Should I just look up like index cards or plotting? Let me know. 4 colors. I figured you meant 4 instead of 3, Angela. Yeah, I would love to. You have my permission to post the link to your video in my chat. I fully approve if you want to pop it in there, because I would love to check it out. I'm making a note right now. Okay, well, seeing as we have flapped our lips, we're probably only going to have time for one more sprint. Okay, yeah, that would be great, Angela, if you could grab that video name. I would love to know. It sounds like I'm not the only one. Okay, well, I think for this last sprint, I'm going to I'm just going to look at my book I was working on last year. And okay, yeah, that's fine. If you put the video name in chat, Angela, that would be fine. But I'm going to just look at my plot and story that I started working on last year, and we'll see what happens. But I am going to, I keep forgetting to turn my banner off that says I'm muted. I'm obviously not muted. Okay, perfect. How you plot using index cards. There we go. I'll put it up there for a few seconds so everyone can see. I'm writing it down. Okay, thank you. Ooh, I think I hear the TV out in the living room. I think my husband's got the Mariners game on. I just need to stay focused. No baseball. No baseball until after sprints. All right. I am going to pull Angela's video down. I hope everyone got to write it down. If not, it's in the chat. You can still see it. All right. Timer is set for 25 minutes, and I will see you on the other side. All right. That was the end of our sprint. I may have purchased a couple things on that sprint. You know, if you give a mouse a shiny plot idea, they're going to need a notebook. And once they get a notebook, they're going to need a jelly cover from Salty Katie. And when you give them a jelly cover from Salty Katie, they're also going to need a page marker from Salty Katie. And because I bought 2 notebooks from Sterling Ink, I had to buy 2 jelly covers and 2 page markers because that's how that works. That's just math. Them's the rules. I don't make them. So, yes, thank you for the link and title of your video. Gail says, oh no. We're supposed to end stream in 10 minutes and you want to talk about this? What would you say are your top 3 most helpful writing tools? Gail's are her brainstorming notebook, the big grid paper, and index cards. I would say my biggest ride or die, cannot live without, cannot even conceive or even like think about writing without this would be my plotting notebook, hands down. Like I was saying, I use the Sterling Ink N1. This is the big chunky monkey, big mama 520 page notebook. And for years, I used the A5 Leuchtturm notebooks, and I have on my shelf, I probably have a dozen or so of these notebooks. I was an A5 girly. The hardcover Leuchtturm gridded notebooks, these were my ride or die, and I loved this notebook. I still do. It's a great notebook, but I'm in my N1 era now with the like nice like crinkly sounding paper. So my first ride or die would be a plotting notebook. I can't do anything without one. I also say I feel like index cards and sticky notes are tied for second. And they could probably be interchangeable at second and third place. I use index cards with every book that I write. I use tons of sticky notes with the books that I write. It's just so nice to be able to like move things around and such. And you feel like you're not committing to something, even though you can just cross something out in your notebook. It's so nice to be able to move the sticky notes around, especially when plots kind of shift and, morph and, suddenly something's in Act 1 when before it was in Act 2B. So I would say those are probably my top 3. It depends on my Free Write Traveler. This thing is a very close. This is, only used for drafting, so it's not with me for the entire writing process. Like my plotting notebook is with me from the first inkling of an idea all the way theoretically to a finished book. But this is only, with me while I'm drafting. But I love this thing so much. As long as this thing works, and as long as Free Write is making these, I can't see myself drafting on anything else. I just can't. I love it so much. This could very easily be in my top 3. So plotting notebook, my Free Write Traveler, and my index cards, I would have to say are my top 3. Honorable mentions, though, my Bic Crystal pen, a regular old pencil, and pink, the pink pearl gum erasers, because I love writing and plotting in pencil, because again, you don't have to commit, everything can erase. My headphones are an honorable mention. And this sits on my desk. This is a Nido Nice Cube. It's just like a little kind of squishy, fidgety blob. And I spend a lot of time just squishing this while I'm thinking and plotting. But my plotting notebook would be 100% my number one ride or die useful tool. Let's see. Gail uses her 6-ring hole punch to punch 3 holes on the side of the index cards to keep them all in order in an A5 ring binder. Do you mean that you punch them like 1, 2, 3 so you can flip like a book? Because I really like that idea. The only thing that I have trouble with leaving my my note cards loose like that is I beat them up. My note cards go through hell right along with me, and so I used to just keep them with a binder clip, and I had to end up rewriting an entire book's index cards because they got so trashed. So I don't leave them loose in the wild anymore because they're constantly being thrown in and out of my bag. They're getting coffee or beer spilled on them. I write in pencil sometimes, so it starts to smudge and then I can't read what I wrote. So they are unfortunately not safe, loosey-goosey with me. Pasqua says, how did 25 minutes go by so fast? I don't know. I feel like the sprints this afternoon just flew by. Yeah, Jen, it was fast, wasn't it? Gail, we are so sorry for being bad influences. Yeah. I'm sure you are very sorry. Carla says, who says we have to stop at 5? I'm down to go a little longer. I don't think Fox sprints until 8 p.m. Eastern. So we've still got, hold on while I time zone math. What time is it on the East Coast? 5 p.m. So there's still 3 hours until Fox starts. Miranda says, thanks for hosting. You got through the tricky spot. Need a reading break and then maybe start writing some new chapters. Well, enjoy your reading break. Let your brain rest and, as Sara says, refill your well. And Miranda says, yours are hand-drawn maps and floor plans, notebooks, index cards, pencils, color pens. Yeah, hand-drawn maps and floor plans. What are you writing that you need floor plans for? Because I am very interested now. I did, for one book, do a floor plan, and that's because I was writing a locked room mystery, classic whodunit, inspired by the board game Clue. And so I had rooms in the house like the lounge and a study and a ballroom. So I did create a floor plan for that book, but that's the only book I've ever created a floor plan for. I have created a couple maps, but nothing as large as like a world map, like a lot of fantasy authors will have, or sci-fi authors. This was like a town map because the book I was writing took place in a small town. Gail says you draw floor plans into your brainstorming notebook too. Huh. I've never really thought too hard about floor plans, but now my gears are turning. But if I start drawing floor plans, I'm going to want to start building the houses in Sims, and that is not productive. Gail says you punch the 3 holes on the short side. Okay, I see. Of the index card. Jillian, you're welcome. Oh, I'm so glad you got a lot done today. Yes, go rest if it's almost 10. Please go rest. Miranda says you hole punch the cards and use a single plastic ring to keep them together. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Carla. Fox is up at 8 Eastern time. Have a wonderful nap, Sara. And you are so welcome. Gail says maps and floor plans help when writing scenes. You like to picture where the characters are and where they're walking about. Oh my God. Almost like a movie set. You're essentially doing a movie set. Huh. I love that. You've really got my gears turning now. That's fascinating. Because I know where they are in my head when I'm writing. And if it's important, I either try, I'll set the scene like they're in a kitchen. But unless it's pertinent to the action of the story and moving the plot forward, I'm not particularly concerned with where they are in the kitchen. Maybe someone's really frustrated and they're also trying to cook at the same time. So showing them being frazzled while trying to cook would be more relevant. And I do my best to, put the characters in a space and time instead of just kind of floating in the abyss. But that is really interesting. Do you make a floor plan or a map for every single scene then? Because now I'm like, oh, you can have your scene index card, and then you can have another index card that's your like floor plan or map for like spatial. And you could do that index card as a different color so that the white index cards are for plot, goal, motivation, conflict. And then you could have a separate yellow or blue or whatever for the floor plan and map. Oh, okay. That is really fun to think about. Thank you. Miranda says, every series I write, YA supernatural, so I need every character to have their home drawn. And as well as the town maps and other series to set a sleepaway camp like a school. That makes sense. Yeah. That totally makes sense. I could see the need for maps and stuff. I do have a map for the cult series that I'm thinking about putting on pause for now. I do have this map drawn, and it's very, very basic. Like first of all, I am not an artist whatsoever. But yeah, I do have like very rudimentary maps, but that's more to keep my head straight. I don't think I would include it like in the kind of front pages of my novel if I published it, because it's just not necessary. But it's just to keep, my head screwed on straight so I know where I am. Yeah, I agree, Gail. That is a really cool idea that Miranda has. Miranda says, I even have flag pages for all of my characters. There's a large cast so you don't get lost. Yeah. I have this notebook. I have a bunch of page flags sticking out the top, out the side, just because they're things that I need to quickly reference. So similar to you, I do like to utilize page flags in my plotting notebooks. They get kind of beat up, so I do have to replace them every so often, but it works. Let's see. Gail usually draws the floor plan or map for where multiple scenes take place. Plus, one day it would be cool to have a sort of series encyclopedia for readers. Look at you, big brain. That is a really cool idea. I love that. Okay, so you don't need one for every. Yeah, because I feel like that might get redundant if you have the map for every scene, because, if more than one scene takes place in the kitchen, you already know what the kitchen looks like. You wouldn't need to redraw it. But you could have like the kitchen and say scenes 2, 11, and 23 are here. My mind is going a million miles an hour right now. Huh. Let's see. Miranda says all your other buildings are drawn too, like diner, coffee shop. That's really cool. I don't flesh it out that much. I will make notes to myself, like if the characters are in a diner, I'll say the booths are red and it's wood paneled, and I'll make those kinds of location notes, but I am not an artist, so drawing would not be a fruitful use of my time to say the least. But looks like Gail and Miranda, we've got a couple artists here. That's really cool. Oh, wow. Um, oh, that was one of my dogs, Newton. I'm not sure if you heard him. Well, we are 5 minutes past the hour. So technically, I'm streaming longer now, which I'm fine with. It's not as sunny now as it was when I started stream. I was going to go. I mean, it's still beautiful out, but I wanted to soak up some sunshine. But now it's not very sunny. Well, looks like there's, some folks had to drop off for bedtime or dinner plans, but we could keep going for a little bit. Do y'all want to do one more sprint? We could do like a 20-minute sprint and just kind of hang out a little bit. Or we could sit here and flap our lips for a bit. I'm good with either one. So if y'all have a preference, or we could end stream. So I don't know how to set up a poll. I'm in StreamYard. I know I can set a poll in YouTube. Carla says sprint, 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 sprint. Pasqua says you're down for either. Gail says you're down for another sprint. Rua says sprint. All right. It's pretty much unanimous. Let's do a 20-minute sprint. All right. Jenna can teach you to do polls. Yeah, I might play around with it. I feel like it is either a feature that I can do from YouTube directly or a paid feature in StreamYard, or it's just somewhere that I'm not able to see. But yeah, I'll definitely ask in the admin group how to do a poll, because I feel like that's something that's probably pretty easy. I just need to find it. Miranda says either works for you. Okay. Well, let's do another sprint. Oh, I keep forgetting to turn my banner off when I'm not muted, because obviously I'm not muted. Okay. Well, let's do another sprint, and I will see you in 20 minutes. Alrighty. That is the end of our last sprint. I'm going to pause this because we're done. All right. What did everyone get up to? I went and told my husband I was doing one more sprint and looked at the score of the baseball game. And then I came back here and I made a to-do list based on if I do entertain the idea of going back to this other book that I started back in 2020, had the completed draft, and then shifted and replotted last year, I made a to-do list of the things that I would need to do to jump back into this book. And then I started looking through this plotting notebook for this story to find things and mark on my pages there, different pages that I would want to reference while I'm reviewing and getting ready to jump back in, different things that I think would be helpful. So let's see what all of you got up to. You are welcome, Carla and Pasqua. You're very welcome. Carla says your story is done, writing your bio and about to submit it for the contest. That's so exciting. Congratulations. I'm happy I could be here to help you out and hold you accountable, keep you company. Rua fleshed out the profile for a new character. Very exciting. Are you adding someone that has not previously been in the story, or are you kind of is this a surprise character, or is this one that you knew was going to be in the story, if that makes sense? Gail finished another handwritten page. Bravo. You're very welcome, Kiku. You got derailed by your mom's request for food. It happens. Food is important. You're very welcome, Rua. I will see you soon, I'm sure. Miranda is going to continue reading and maybe another short nap. Excellent. I love that. Take some rest this afternoon or this evening. Carla, I can't believe it's less than a week into baseball season and the Red Sox are already out of it. I hope they get their groove or it'll be a long summer. Yeah, the Mariners are, they're existing, but they're not really doing anything. Especially Cal Raleigh, our big dumper home run hitter. I think he got a little comfy with that nice big contract he just signed, and I don't think he's got the same hustle that he did last year. But the season is young. So we got to give everyone a chance. Everyone's got to settle in. Gail's congratulating Carla. Yes, congratulations, Carla, on finishing that. And Carla says, oh, the things I'm doing to avoid the hockey rom-com today. Yeah, I'm being quite avoidant as well, if you haven't noticed. But I don't know. I just got to let myself play and see where the muse takes me. So I guess there's no regrets, but I'm not doing what I planned on doing or what I thought I would be doing. So I did buy 2 notebooks, though. Definitely didn't plan on doing that. But here we are. To be fair, I had no backups, and I usually like to keep a backup notebook in my drawer because situations like this where I need one and I need one now arise, and I don't like waiting on a new notebook to arrive. I would like to be able to just jump right into it. But my last backup notebook is no longer my backup notebook. It's my cult book series brainstorming plotting notebook. So I no longer have a backup. I have backup booklets, the short 64 page notebooks, but none of the long ones. So I purchased one to jump into and move over into from this lecture term. and Leukster. I don't know. I bought one to move into, and then I bought another one as a backup. So I will have a backup notebook, which is going to be a relief. Yes, the muse always wins is such a good phrase. I have, when Sara released her muse merch, I bought the coffee mug and the sweatshirt, and I wear the sweatshirts from Sara's shop all the time. I have the muse always wins, and then yesterday, if you weren't here, I was wearing my rough draft challenge sweatshirt, and those sweatshirts are the coziest, most comfy, warm sweatshirts. I wear them all the time. So, alrighty. Well, I think that's it. The sun is trying to come out stronger than it was a bit ago. So, I think I'm going to go outside and enjoy the sunshine and figure out what my husband and I are going to do for dinner this evening. But thank you so much for joining me. I will be back. I might try and schedule a pop-up stream before my next regular stream. My next regularly scheduled stream will be the third Sunday. So 2 weeks from today, same time, same place. But I may try and do another one before then, especially if I'm trying to catch up and get some plotting done and switch projects, which I can't believe I'm saying, but if I am switching projects, I will need the extra stream to hold me accountable. But I will be sure to let all of you know. You can subscribe and turn notifications on if you want to be reminded when I'm going live. YouTube will actually ping you. And other than that, I think that's about all I have. So I'm sure I'll see some of you in other sprints as well from the other admins. You're very welcome, Gail. You too. Have a lovely rest of your day, everyone. Happy Easter. Bye, Carla. Bye, Gail. All right. Well, that is it. I hope all of you are well and enjoy your evening or day, whatever time zone you're in. And I will see you real soon. Bye, everyone.